Hello NBA fans, and welcome back to another video here on the NBA the week that was. Today I'll be going over two trades that have happened today in the NBA. One between the Brooklyn Nets and the Detroit Pistons, and one between the Phoenix Suns and the Oklahoma City Thunder, which has already been one of the blockbusters and will be one of the most important trades that happened in this offseason. Let's get right into the video. The first trade formally agreed to in the 2020 NBA offseason was between the Brooklyn Nets and the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons sent Bruce Brown in exchange for John and Musa and the 2021 second-round pick from the Brooklyn Nets. Let's talk about it from the Pistons' point of view first. The Pistons really don't get impacted too much by this trade. I think it's just a move by the new GM to accumulate assets as they begin a rebuild that has been inevitable for a while. The Pistons really haven't found success since arguably their championship. They haven't gotten up to the levels that they wanted to for the last 16 years. Drummond really wasn't a number one option. They had a decent team with Griffin, Reggie Jackson, Drummond, but it really wasn't enough. So now it's time for a rebuild. They've brought in a new general manager, and this was his first move. I believe he's just doing this move to accumulate assets as he continues to try and get, as they'll tank, obviously, try and get a number one pick and have more assets to maybe trade for better players once they're in a better position to do so, and seem to be looking to move towards the playoffs rather than in a rebuild phase. And that's what accumulating assets does. Musa is a project. He really isn't the best player. He was behind a lot of wing players in Brooklyn and really wasn't going to get any playing time. He might get a few minutes for the Pistons. He is a decent shooter and he's streaky like a lot of European players are. However, it really doesn't impact the Pistons on the floor as much as it does off the floor. As I said, this is just about accumulating assets and really getting ready for a great 2021 NBA draft and a 2021 NBA free agency. Now let's talk about this trade from the Brooklyn Nets point of view. I really think this is a solid pickup for the Nets. Bruce Brown was arguably the best defensive player for the Pistons. They would always stick him on the best guards of the opposing teams, whether it was Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Trae Young. Bruce Brown was always guarding them and really pushing them to their limits as much as you can for these superstars, and I think it's a good pickup for this Brooklyn team. With guys like Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, you want defense and three-point shooting off the bench. While Brown really is a liability on the offensive end, the defense he provides will be good for when he's playing with Kyrie Irving. And if Kyrie Irving really needs to explode on the offensive end, new head coach Steve Nash can slot Bruce Brown in, have him take on Kyrie Irving's assignment and really push them again to their limit, so they're unable to stop Kyrie on the defensive end when Kyrie is going crazy with his handles, with his three-point jump shot. And I think this is a great pickup for the Nets as they look to really push as contenders this year. Now let's talk to the trade that everyone tuned into this video for. The Phoenix Suns and the Oklahoma City Thunder made a blockbuster deal, trading Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns for Kelly Oubre Jr., Jalen Leck, Ty Jerome, Ricky Rubio, and a first-round protected pick. This was a blockbuster when I found out. I was in my class. I got the Twitter notification. I was so excited. I feel this is a great mutually beneficial trade, and let's talk about it first from the Suns' point of view. The Suns really look good in the bubble. They were 8-0, and they're really looking to make a playoff push. Devin Booker is a top 15 talent in the league for me, and he continues to grow as an offensive and defensive player, looking like the number one option continuing to look like a number one option every day. Now they added the veteran Chris Paul, who also looked fantastic this year. No one expected the Thunder to do as well as they did, and the reason they did so well, Chris Paul, his leadership, his play on the court, his leadership off the court, everything that Chris Paul did for the Thunder was so beneficial for them, and getting what they got back for him, I think it really paid off. But Chris Paul and Devin Booker is going to be a backcourt that's going to be so much fun to watch. While Chris Paul is old, he'll take a lot of the playmaking duties off of Devin Booker that were really hampering his offensive abilities. Devin Booker had such a big role on offense, he wasn't able to score with the firepower he was before when they had a relatively decent point guard. And when they finally got Ricky Rubio, it showed that when playing with a better point guard, Devin Booker is great off the ball and on the ball. With Chris Paul, he is the point god, someone who can really get Devin the ball in the best possible spots and really unlock the full offensive potential of this team. However, we can't forget that DeAndre Ayton is going to benefit massively off this trade. He's going to find one of the best pick and roll players in NBA history in Chris Paul, and he'll be able to dominate down in the paint with Chris Paul throwing him lobs, getting him the ball in prime post position, and it's just going to be such an electrifying offense. Playing with them in the starting lineup is most likely going to be Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who are great shooters and great defenders, making for a formidable starting five, and look, the Suns looking like a team who are vying for a Western Conference playoff spot, like so many other teams in the Western Conference are. So it'll be really intriguing to watch them on the court. And off the court, Chris Paul is going to help massively as a leader and really rebuilding the culture of this team, as it's looked quite shaky in the past. So this is a great trade from the Phoenix Suns' point of view. Next, let's talk about this trade from the point of view of the Thunder. Sam Presti, the general manager of this team, has done so well in this rebuild for the Thunder. From what it looked like, first of all, making the playoffs last year. That wasn't meant to happen, but he got Chris Paul from it, and he got some great first round picks. Speaking about first round picks and the Thunder, this is a bit of a side note, but they have 17 first round picks in the next 6 drafts. That's just outrageous to think about. They definitely will hit on at least 5 of those and have a potential starting 5 in the next 6 years through draft picks that they've been accumulating through wonderful trades that their general manager Sam Presti has made, and he's just solidifying his position as the best general manager in the NBA. But speaking of the trade in the present, losing Chris Paul is going to hurt their playoff chances, but the Thunder don't even want to make the playoffs. They want to rebuild around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They want to rebuild around young players that they're going to get in future drafts. So they got another first round pick from this, got some great young assets in my opinion, and Kelly Oubre Jr., who's been looking solid in the last 2 years as a wing. He can really score the ball, and he's a great defender with great athleticism. So it's a good pickup for them. Ty Jerome looked solid for the Suns as a backup point guard. He can really score the ball. While he might not be the best defender, he's a good playmaker and scorer. Jalen Leck is a complete prospect, but if the Thunder develop him well, and which they've done with some of their young players, he'll be good. He'll be a good backup point guard for them, and he can also be another trade asset. Ricky Rubio will be a starter for them next year, given the fact that they traded Chris Paul, but I mean, he's a great playmaker. He's always been one his whole career, and I don't see any fault in getting him from this trade. Some might say they didn't get enough, but I feel giving Chris Paul's 35 a really big contract, and what they got for Westbrook, like they got Chris Paul obviously, but they got 3 picks with that. They got another first round pick, all from that Russell Westbrook trade that Sam Presti made. So I feel he's making wonderful moves as the Oklahoma City Thunder general manager, and overall this was a mutually beneficial trade that's going to help both teams and their current, in their present, and in their future goals. And with that, I would like to conclude this episode analyzing the last 2 trades that happened in the NBA. Please let me know if you found anything interesting in this episode. Which trade do you think was the best, and who was it the best for? Do you think Chris Paul will be a good fit to Suns? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you're new on this channel, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on my next video here on the NBA the week that was. See ya!